time it is!
Semi-live from my recording studio here in the great Northwest. And just to let you know before we get started, beer-wise, I went something a little different. I went on more of a national thing. I guess technically it's Canadian. I'm going with drinking Labatt Blue tonight. They sponsor quite a bit of hockey events throughout the country, so I figured I would show them a little love, and plus it's hard to find in this area, and actually found it, so that was pretty sweet. So once again, I'm sure there's someone out there questioning, where is the other Chris? So from what I told is he was at he thought he was going to a Circuit City, but those were all closed down, so he ended up having to go to Best Buy, I guess. And there was the whole thing with the shopping carts, there was a argument about that. As he mentioned, he's not a big fan of people leaving their shopping carts out. Well, he went, a guy left his shopping cart out, and the guy, from what I heard, and this is all based on security cam footage from the parking lot, and I can't speak too much on it, but it seemed like the guy was a little off, what have you. And so Chris goes to confront him, and the guy and he could come off abrasive in a lot of times, but granted it was silent, but from what the security cam footage looked like, it looked like he was being a reasonable gentleman, so that was pretty good for him. However, the gentleman went to place him under a citizen's arrest for that, and it wasn't really working. Chris was kind of getting away from him, not trying to be a douchebag or anything. What has happened, however, is that gentleman ended up knocking Chris out with some sort of gas or something along those lines, and throwing him in the back of his it was a Jeep Cherokee. It looked like late 90s, early 2000s. So definitely older model, but you could tell the guy took care of it. And from what we can glean from looking into this guy's social media history, it looks like we have a potential 10 Cloverfield Lane situation where the guy is holding Chris in some sort of basement bunker, just waiting out, kind of the world to end and the zombies show up and shit like that. So either, Chris is either, good or, he's trapped down there. So, hope for the best, and I hope they can find him. Again, there's no 10 Cloverfield Lane in our area, so they didn't know where to check at once you get past that point. So that's where that's sitting. I just wanted to start off. Well, I guess I did just fucking start off. I wanted to say to my sister Stacy, you can go fuck yourself. She beat me by officially 0.6 points in fantasy football. So I mentioned earlier how I'm having a god-awful fantasy football year. And it continued. If Mahomes would have completed his last pass during garbage time, I think I would have won. Yeah, so here's my thing. And this just came to me again, but Chris went off on that whole, shopping cart thing, and I tend to agree. It's a real sign of again, just selfishness and laziness. The fact that when it's very easy to put away your shoddy cart and you don't, people seem like an asshole. However, the stores have to help us out a little bit. I was out booze shopping on Saturday, and I went to one of the booze warehouse stores where you can get 80 different kinds of vodka for some reason you need that many. That's another thing. Craft liquor. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, really, you need bottom shelf and top shelf. That's all you need. All the other middle stuff is just nonsense. And I hate to break it to everybody, but there's no goddamn difference. If you go bottom shelf, it's all the fucking same. If you go top shelf, it's all the fucking same. So I hate to break it to you, but you're wasting everyone's time and store space. So I'm out there. So I go to the booze warehouse, and I'm leaving, and I had a cart because me shopping for booze, obviously, gonna need a cart. Well, I go to put the cart back in the parking lot, and the fucking cart return thing or corral or whatever the fuck they call it, completely full, and the carts are spilling out all over the place, and it's like, guys, come on, we're all into this together, right? That's kind of what I thought. This is a thing we can all be in together, but the store's got to help out a little bit too. Don't you can't whine about people not bringing their carts back when you as a store proprietor are, not making sure that, that they are taken care of. So that's all. And, you can say they were busy or whatever. The place doesn't go through that many fucking carts to be that busy. For someone to, grab a bungee cord and pull them back. I get people are doing other shit, but it's 7.5 minutes. That's all you got, right? So I just wanted to bring that up. Yeah, so I just finished watching the football game, obviously. I watched the last 2.5 minutes because I watched Tampa Bay win the Stanley Cup. So congrats to the Lightning and Spokane boy Tyler Johnson getting his name on the cup. So that's pretty cool. What I'm going back to say, however, and this has been annoying me all fucking series. Eddie Olczyk, I hope you eat a giant, big ol' black cock tonight. You are the biggest piece of garbage I have ever heard. So going back to, we'll go game 4. There's the play in overtime. Was that game 4 or game 5? Yeah, that's game 4. There's the play in overtime where Jamie Benn is skating alongside Tyler Johnson. And he reaches his arm out. Anyway, Johnson goes down. Referee puts his arm up, takes him to the box, calls a trip, right? Eddie Olczyk starts screaming how, it wasn't a trip. It wasn't a trip. How could he call that? How could he call that? How could he call that? He is done. And what it came down to is the only mistake I saw the referee make was, he pantomimed the action of what he thought happened, which isn't what happened. However, so basically the referee thought he got tripped with the skates. He didn't. However, what caused him to go down was him grabbing him in the middle of the chest and basically pulling him down. So, the definition of a hold. But that wasn't going to be mentioned by Eddie Olczyk. Again, the only thing that was wrong with that entire sequence was the referee trying to play out exactly what happened. Because what he saw didn't happen, but it was still a goddamn penalty. And Eddie Olczyk has done nothing but piss and moan about the referee's performance in these playoffs. And if you're a commentator and that's all you fucking got, like, get a new day job, buddy. The only qualifications you seem to have are, winning a cup with New York and being an American while you did it. That seems to be it. I don't, or you know what? Go back to fucking horse racing. You actually know what the fuck you're talking about when it comes to horse racing. You obviously have no fucking clue what a penalty looks like, what it should look like, what it doesn't look like. You know, it may not have been your game, but that call on Ben in overtime that, you know, led to Tampa Bay's goal going up 3-1, that was a penalty. You may not like it. You may have thought, you know, maybe he was too far away from the puck to call. Maybe it was, but he grabbed him in the middle of the chest and pulled him down. By definition, that is what holding is in the game of hockey. All right? So now you have the benefit of slow motion replay and all this garbage and all this nonsense, and you still can't. All you're gonna say is that wasn't a trip. That's the best. That's the best analysis you have. That wasn't a trip. That shouldn't have been a penalty. Well, there's more than one fucking penalty in the rule book, idiot. So Eddie Olczyk, I really, you know, this is going to be mean to say because, you know, it's really not nice to, you know, wish any, you know, bad things towards somebody, but I hope NBC decides not to hire you back for next year. So, I mean, then again, it's one of those things. Do we get rid of, who do I want to get rid of more? Eddie Olczyk, Pierre Maguire, Kenny Albert, or Mike Emmerich? It's tough. I bring back Thorne and Clement. That's all. That's what I'm going to start. I mean, I'm tired of watching fucking Orioles games to hear you know, Gary Thorne again. But bring them back. They knew what the fuck they were doing. They called the game with a little personalization, not the pretend nonsense, you know, that these guys all do. I mean, Pierre Maguire's garbage. Boucher's not bad for what he has to work with. But yeah, Mike Emmerich is very overrated. The fact that Mike Emmerich is a fucking Emmy winner is ridiculous. I mean, it's the same reason that Steely Dan's a Grammy winner. People are fucking idiots and just give them away they give away Emmys like they give away Grammys. It's for elevator fucking music. He is the elevator music of sports commentary. It's not going to offend anybody. It's, you know, it's only annoying if you listen to it for longer than you should. And unfortunately, what happened during these playoffs were a lot of overtime games. So it goes past 3 periods, all of a sudden you realize, holy shit, this is fucking annoying. So let's get rid of the fucking elevator music. Let's bring some personalization back into it. And ESPN had it right. You have fucking Gary Thorne, who was great and who was willing to talk shit with Bill Clement, who, you know, one of the toughest sons of bitches. I mean, he was one of the toughest guys on the Broad Street Bullies Flyers days. So the toughest team of all time. He was one of the toughest guys there. So, you know, that was get fucking Melrose and Butchergrass. You know, fucking, they're fun doing college hockey. They're hilarious. But Eddie Olczyk, go fuck yourself. That is my my big hockey analysis for the Stanley Cup Finals. What I want to say before I go any further is, as of Saturday night, the gauntlet has been set. I am here challenging, once again, Randy, step in the ring, buddy. So now, not only did everybody at your old lady's birthday party hear this, now all 36 of my individual listeners are going to hear this now. Step in the ring. I will give you 2 months, and then I'll give you 2 months to warm up, and then you and me, we're boxing. I mean, you want to call it 10 rounds, you want to go 8, you want to go 12, we kick it old school, go 15, that's fine, but hey, the gauntlet has been laid out, and I know you're scared because of your concussions, and if someone hits you, someone hits you, you might get a little dizzy or something. Hey, guess what? I've had multiple concussions and I have epilepsy, you fuck. So if I'm willing to step in the ring with you, you have no excuse. Or, you know what you just say? Say, I'm a giant fucking pussy. That's all you have to say. If you come out and say, I'm a giant fucking pussy, I'll drop it right now. But that you gotta say that. So right now, I'll give you 2 months from whatever date you want. Whatever date you want. I already got a promoter on this. I already got my corner man. So I got everything ready to go. And the promoter, he's gonna promote. He's gonna promote both sides. So we're not, we got this all set up. I got all the work is done. All you gotta do is strap him up. So the gauntlet has been set, and you will be hearing the same thing every fucking week until you man up, or just say you're a giant pussy. So that's what we got going. What else? Oh, I finally got to actually watch some football this weekend. Watched some college football. What's funny is right now I'm watching horse racing from all over the place, and just like you would think, in Australian tracks they run the opposite way. Like the toilet swirls around the other way, and they say all that shit. Well, they do the same thing with horse racing, so that's actually pretty interesting. Was not aware of that. However, they do wear the same doofus hats. So, well, what was the first game? The first game, I was watching the Texas game. And it was, it seemed to be going pretty decently. I couldn't tell you how it ended up. I couldn't tell you what the scores. The one thing I did notice, I believe in the course of 2 drives, there were 6 reviewed plays. 6. And I don't know how many were overturned. I don't know how many were done, but there were 6. And can we stop with the fucking reviews? It is a joke how, this is why you're not losing fans because people are kneeling. That's the excuse they're using. The reason you're losing fans is because it's harder and harder to watch fucking games. Oh, and back to my fucking thing. The whole thing with referees, the same thing happened, and I heard an interview with Jeff Fisher, where he basically said, he said the only team that loses every week is the officials. The referees lose every week. And he said he doesn't know why anyone would become an official anymore. Because what you see is you have so much slow-mo and slow down and slow this and slow that. He's like, oh my God, how do they miss that call? And that trickles down. You can record your shit, they slow motion, they record it, and all of a sudden it trickles down. So if you watch commentators and you watch, experts on the game belittle the officials on the field or on the ice, that's gonna trickle down below. And another thing he mentioned is if you watch highlights, they show the plays over and over and over again that get overturned. Like, oh look, he missed this call, but it got overturned here, and they never show the reviews where the officials got it right. You'll watch it and they'll say on review, he did get the ball across. But when you watch the highlights, they'll say, oh, look at this catch, and they reviewed it and he was still right. You don't show how close the referee or how great of a call the referee makes. You're only showing the shitty ones, which is trickling down to lower levels and lower levels and lower levels. In watching the Sunday night game, it was just I believe there was 3 different penalties that were called where Chris Collinsworth, who's another one. I feel bad for Al Michaels. He's such a professional, and he has to work with that fucking mental patient. But they just show over, they show a slow motion replay, and the biggest one that sticks out is someone from New Orleans got called for a horse collar tackle, and they showed a replay, and it wasn't a horse collar tackle. They thought it was a face mask up in the booth, and it wasn't. And, that shouldn't have been a penalty. They showed it, and basically he grabbed him around the chest and pulled him down that way, so it shouldn't have been a penalty. You're right. But the first fucking sentence that both the guys make before they say, oh, wow, these referees missed the call, they're like, in real time, it looked like a horse collar. We all thought it did, or it looked like a face mask. That's what the fuck the refs are calling it from. It's from real time, idiot. So yeah, you could sit up there and say, oh wow, they missed that call. They missed that call. Yeah, because you have a fucking camera angle directly over it. Or you have or you could slow it down to the millimeter, Wow, I think the ball, look at the nose of the ball, barely touched the goal line before he was pushed back. They missed that call. No, they fucking didn't. They didn't miss that fucking call. You got to pause it where the ball was on the fucking line. They didn't miss the goddamn call. But every one of those, oh, I see it in real time, it looked like this. But, since they called it how it looked in real time, they fucked up. Just give me a goddamn break. Anyway, going back to the review thing, there was, what'd I say, 6 or something? I don't know. Too many fucking reviews for my taste. But we looked. I have an idea. And they've kind of gone away from this. But review was set in place. And every sport had it set in place to overturn obvious plays. So, if it's obvious that he can get both feet in bounds because that other foot didn't drag or whatever, or that he did because the foot dragged, or, the guy was offsides because, the referee, the linesman couldn't see the guy getting off at the bench, things like that. That's what it was designed for. If you have to watch the video for over 2 minutes, different angles, different speeds, if you have to watch it for over 2 minutes, the play should stand. Because if you can't figure it out in 2 minutes with all the goddamn cameras you have sitting up, guess what? Whatever he called live is as good as you're going to fucking get it when you're watching it on the camera. My idea in every sport where they have a review, in 120 seconds, everything turns off. You may, figure out, what time, the clock needs to go back to and what have you. But the screen turns off, you're done reviewing it. So if you haven't figured it out in those 2 minutes, you know what? If you can't figure out in slow motion, the call on the field is just as good as what you're going to figure out watching it over and over and over again. I remember it was either last year or 2 years ago, and I believe it was in the Cup Finals. It was in the playoffs, I know for sure. But there was a close offsides, and basically they had to figure out if his skate blade was still skimming the ice or if it was just above the ice when the puck crossed the line. And it is just so close, and you're looking at every angle and you're pausing it, and eventually they overturned it and said it was offsides. But I believe there was 2 commercial breaks while they were watching that fucking play. If you have time to take 2 commercial breaks, whatever the guy called on the ice is going to be just as good. Because even with all those angles, even with everything they looked at, they still weren't fucking sure. The commentators still weren't sure. And you know my love for commentators. You know how much they seem to really be on my good side, so to speak. It just seemed like, I don't know, we're kind of going away from that. They want every call to be fucking perfect, and it's not going to be. Is every pitch perfect? No. Is every throw perfect? No. Is every shot perfect? No. But you expect every call to be? I don't fucking get it. And not to mention, you go into a double overtime game. Yeah, the players are tired out there. It's, they've been, skating hard for, top guy is 35 minutes. Well, by the time you get to the second overtime, starting the second overtime, the referees are at 81 minutes on the ice. Now, it's a different kind of skating, what have you, but just, I don't fucking get it. But stop with the over-reviewing of shit. Because not only are you taking the fun away not only are you taking away from the fun of the game, or the viewer experience or whatever you want to call it, but you're putting an unrealistic standard on how games at the professional level can be officiated or called. By overdoing everything, by trying to make everything fucking perfect, you're making it worse. I mean, if you want everything to be perfect, have one of those fucking throwing machines just aim that, and so every throw goes perfect. Everything's a perfect spiral. Or let the officials be human. And what you're doing, and the biggest thing I see with this is it's trickling down. There is an expectation of perfection at the highest level, and everything can be slowed down, and everything you're hearing is about how horseshit the official is, or about a calling missed, or what have you. And it trickles down, so the first thing when a foul gets called at a younger level, or a penalty gets called, the first thing, by watching on TV, the first thing you're taught to do is immediately question that call. Not question what the kid did, or how he could do it better, or if it was an accident, or what have you. No, it is how the first thing they do, question the call, question the official. And once that's done, then maybe we can look into ourselves. Maybe we could, start looking at that. And that is what's happening at the highest levels. And so it's trickling down. And again, Jeff Fisher said there's no way. He said he has no idea why anyone would become an official. For that reason. It's just, and he said it, at the lowest levels. I should really find that interview and re-listen to it again. It was absolutely fantastic. And I've talked to hockey referees at a lower level, or a high level, but not quite professional. And they miss a call or something like that, and they're down on themselves in the locker room. A supervisor says, I've never seen a perfectly played game. Why should a game be perfectly reffed? Well, that's true. But we're losing that, especially with how it's being commentated and how it's being analyzed and how it's being broken down every goddamn week, every goddamn game. Everything's being broken down to the millisecond, to the... And I saw this during the Texas Tech game. There was a call, well, did his back heel graze the out-of-bounds line, or did it not? Or was his foot above the line, even though his foot would have came down out of bounds, but never? It was just stupid shit like that. And it's, I don't know, there's a certain amount of kind of leeway you're allowed to give in sports as an official. I mean, the easiest one to say is the strike zone. The easiest one to look at is at the strike zone. So you say, hey, look, me as an umpire, I'm gonna give the pitcher more room on the outside. So if it's close to the plate on the outside corner, it's gonna be a strike. I'm gonna give less room on the inside of the plate. And then that's just how it is for the game, and it's consistent. That's going to be lost. That sort of thing is going to be lost. The human aspect of the game, because they're talking about going to fucking robotic fucking or computerized strike zones. It's just why? If you look over the course of a season, if you look over the course of all sorts of shit, everything evens out. It all evens out. Now, Seattle fan will say it doesn't, even though they've benefited on calls more than possibly. No, that's not true. But they've benefited quite a bit on calls, even though Seahawk fan would lead you to believe that they have never, that a call has never gone their way in their life. It's all gonna even up. So let's stop the over replay shit. I don't care if it's 2nd and 6 or 2nd and 5. I don't give a shit. And in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't fucking matter that much anyway. Especially in the second quarter of a 34-14 college football game. Can we fucking stop? But I did figure out one thing. And I'm glad... I'm happy for the students at LSU. Because it is the one football stadium I can think of where they mark every 5 yards rather than every 10 yards. So, congratulations, LSU. Your athletic department knows that the student body is fucking idiots. They know how fucking stupid you are and how you have to, figure out, well, they can't figure out, if this is 5 or 10 yards, so let's put 35, 30, 25. First of all, you're going to school in LSU or in Louisiana. You're already behind the 8 ball. You chose to move to Louisiana and not even New Orleans. New Orleans is passable, but anywhere else in New Orleans, if you really look at it, it's minus, since there's a lot of fun shit to do, people can overlook the fact that it's just a garbage heap. But the rest of the state is, it's the one city where they speak a language that no one's ever it's the one state where they speak a language that no one's ever fucking heard of. And we're supposed to respect it or some shit like that. Like, I'll give you French. I'll give the Native American languages and shit like that. But Cajun is just people who forgot how to speak French and decided to make it their own because, and the, dirty backwoods swamp people. Anyway, you're going to school in Louisiana. So obviously, you couldn't get into an Alabama or a Texas school. That's what that says to me. Or you're not racist enough to go to a Mississippi school. So there's that part of it. And yeah, LSU just, the athletic department just came out and said, hey, look, we know our student body are idiots. So they're going to need every 5 yards spelled out for them. And quite honestly, I love just the self-awareness. There's not enough self-awareness in this day and age. But with LSU, doing that, they're very self-aware. Like, hey, we know who we are, so we know our students are gonna have a little trouble figuring out every 10 yards. So we're gonna have to knock it down to 5. So you're welcome, Cajun country or whatever the fuck you want to call yourself. Or anyway, I don't know how much. It's funny. Every the last 2 episodes I've done have come in under an hour when I get done editing it. Every time I record, it's well over an hour. So that will just tell you how much fucking dead air and stupid ass stuttering I have to take out my fucking idiot self. Thank God I don't have a live thing yet, or ever will, most likely, because I am a stumbling, mumbling prick, and it is much more noticeable when you listen to the raw tapes or what have you. And I also didn't mention, that's kind of all I got, sports wise. I could, go off on, the 49ers, losing even more guys to injury and, what have you. I can get to that. But who knows when I'll get this fucking edited and when it'll come back. Maybe they'll, figure out a stem cell cure and get everyone back, and, it'll be, this will be old news by then. So, however, with the last one, I did get that, edited late. I had, fuck it, whatever. I had naps to take, for fuck's sakes, and, I just not really, but that's what I'm going to tell myself or something. Well, one thing I didn't talk about a whole lot in the last episode was the was was kind of, the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, which, very sad. She dedicated her life to, bettering, not only women, but the country and what have you. Some people on a certain side of the aisle might say that, she should have hung the shit up, 15 years ago when all that was over. But, whatever, she, she made herself, she was a great public servant, and by God, with that public service, made herself a multimillionaire. So great being a public servant. And when she passed away, and everyone's all worried about Trump getting another nominee. Trump's getting well, yeah. And it's funny that that Mitch McConnell, who was all about in 2016, well, President Obama shouldn't nominate anybody because he's the outgoing president. It's election year. You should wait till the election. Now he's jumping all over, saying, "Oh yeah, he should do it." And there's one way to. I mean, it's hypocritical argument. I mean, obviously, you're saying, "Hey, we want our guy, so don't do it." But now we're saying, "Hey, we want our gal, so let's do it." All you have to say with this argument is in 2016, there was 100% chance we were having a new president because Obama wasn't going to run for a third term, which I've heard scholars say in a lot of different ways. It's either legal or illegal or what have you, but anyway, he wasn't going to run for a third term. That's all McConnell, that's all these fucks have to say is, hey, when it was guaranteed that there wasn't going to be, there's going to be a different president, then it shouldn't be nominated. Now that there's allegedly a 50-50 shot of having the same president, it's not as important or what have you. Say that. Don't try to excuse your way out of it. Well, it was different because this, or we said it because there it is. See, yeah, it seems hypocritical, but here's the reason. That's all you have to fucking say. I don't agree with it, but I just made your goddamn argument for you. You're welcome. That's all. I mean, you're supposed to be. You're politicians. You're supposed to be good at spinning shit. You're supposed to be good at setting all these things in motion, what have you. Why is a dumb, drunk asshole in a tiny room in his house having a better fucking answer than you could come up with on every fucking news show? I like how I'm back to kind of being a little more angry than I've been in the past. It's nice. I'm feeling nice about it. Yeah, so McConnell and all you other ones, you're fucking idiots. All right, I gave you the line. If you haven't figured out the fucking line, if you haven't figured that out by the next time I record, I am officially more done with you than I am now. Seems fair, right? Anyway, back to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Rest in power, rest in peace, or whatever you're supposed to say. Rest in, Anyway, it is sad. Someone passing away. However, it was announced cancer, but I think once you get 85 is the number where if you pass away, regardless of the reason, I just don't think you should have to report it. It just seems. No, I think she was over 80. If she's not, I'm a real cocknut, aren't I? But we just don't have to report it. I don't think it just, that's kind of what they told my grandfather. Unfortunately, this is not the happiest thing, but he was diagnosed with Parkinson's at, I believe, 78 or 79, and the doctor said, yeah, you're almost 80. Something's supposed to be going wrong. And so he, and by the time this, and he's like, well, can I still drive? By the time this affects your driving, you shouldn't be driving anyway. That's the thing. Like, you get to that age, something's going to go wrong. I don't think we need to know, she had a battle with some sort of cancer, which, is sad. Cancer's sad and all that. But I don't think that has to be part of the report. I think the report is, she was over 80. If she's over 80, she passed away. It was probably her time, regardless of the reason. But the weekend after that, I found it very interesting. I believe it was Stephanopoulos for ABC who was interviewing Nancy Pelosi, and all of a sudden it just looked like something, just like she went fucking nuts for a second. Like, I'm not making fun of the lady. Yeah, she may be an asshole. She may be a fucking two-faced snob. Like, yeah, she got tricked into going to her hairdresser. Bitch, you know the laws that are set up. Hell, you're on the side that's setting more of the restrictions for the COVID stuff. How did you get fucking tricked? You're, probably some sort of lawyer. You got tricked by a fucking hairdresser? I mean, come on. But anyway, yeah, and in my opinion, she's just a phony snatch. Politics aside, this is every politician, and I'll give you that. But it's just everything she seems to, I don't know, she doesn't hide the look at me thing that all politicians have. She doesn't hide that enough for my taste. So, that's all. Every politician is only up there, look at me. Hell, if I was running for things, that's what I wanted before. I just, hey, look at me, I'm running for shit. I would be the look at me guy. Anyway, she's on the interview, and I forget if they were talking about Ruth Bader Ginsburg or if they were talking about whatever, but she just starts talking in circles and talking random things, and then Stephanopoulos is just looking at her, and then all of a sudden it's like, "Speaker, can you hear me?" And just like, "Good morning." It was just batty. And what I think happened, and this is just my personal opinion, and again, I'm going to have to look into this a little bit more. I think Nancy Pelosi had some sort of chip implanted in her when she first started in politics. Planted by Ruth Bader Ginsburg to allow Justice Ginsburg to control Nancy Pelosi via remote. And what happened was, all of a sudden, Justice Ginsburg passes away. The next interview on TV, Nancy Pelosi looks like she blows a fucking circuit. It didn't even look like a CD was skipping. It almost looked like putting a song on random rather than a CD on random. That's what her interview looked like. It looked like, just hitting random during that 3-minute song and just the words coming out weird and not even making sense. So that's my personal theory. I think Ruth Bader Ginsburg took with her to her grave the remote control that controls Nancy Pelosi. Not completely, just when it comes to, politics. I think her life is still her life. It was just, I think her political ideology and ideas were controlled by the remote that was in Ruth Bader Ginsburg's possession. So that's what I'm going to go with. And it's funny, you say, you hear all these arguments, Trump could get away with this, Trump could get away with this, Trump could get away with this. This happened quite possibly, I want to say, I can't tell you, but it was more than probably 4 days ago or 5 days ago or what have you. It was more than that. The fact that it isn't getting jumped on more just shows you it's not a Trump thing. It's an America thing. It's Trump. Yeah, we only care about what something Trump says for, 24 hours or 48 hours or what have you, and then it's gone. How is he so Teflon? How is he? Everyone is. The fact that you were able to blow a fucking circuit, and literally, I thought literally you were seconds away from actual smoke coming out of her ears. The fact that can happen, and it's still not front page news everywhere, just shows you the fact it has nothing to do with Trump. It has nothing to do with the riot. It has nothing to do with MAG. It's completely today's society. You got away with something that Clinton would have never gotten away with in the 90s. We would still be watching that over and over and over again on a loop. And the fact that it's not even being talked about anymore. Before I came in here to record this, I went through the news channels real quick. About 3.5 minutes on each one, and the fact that wasn't brought up, the fact that her blowing an actual fucking circuit wasn't blown up, just shows it's not a Trump thing. It's a fucking American society thing right now. It's the whole TikTok thing. It's the whole Instagram story thing. It's all that. It's that culture. That's the reason that Trump is getting away with this stuff. He's saying, he's accusing a candidate's father of having a hand in the JFK assassination. Everyone forgetting about it. It's that sort of thing, but it's not Trump. It's everybody. So before the left starts jumping down the throat like, oh, how could America be so, how could the right be so stupid? How could they, forget about everything he's done? Or, guess what? You're just as fucking dumb. You're doing the same shit. I mean, for Christ's sake. I don't necessarily know where I'm going with this. All I know is that was fucking batty. That was just the whole joke that, politicians are robots and they have their speaking points. The fact that her wires got crossed like that just goes to prove that goddamn point. That's what it proves. So the fact that I forgot to really bring that up really doesn't bode well for this as being as far as a future career for me. The fact that I had that written down, I'm seriously looking at my notepad. I've had that written down since last week, and I just I missed it. How did I gloss over that one? A broad loses her of the Speaker of the House, not just a broad, the Speaker of the House, who manages to make herself a spectacle, good or bad, at least once a week. Her half-assed protests at the State of the Union, where you just watched her and you knew she was planning on. It's like, oh my god, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. You just watch her face. It was completely thought out, you dumb broad. You thought it out. You could see it in your fucking face the entire time. You knew you were going to do something. Like, I have to do something. I'm wearing all white. It's for the crew, or it's for the whatever the broad groups calling themselves that she threw herself in with. The squad. That's what it was. And rips up the speech. She does that. And I have no idea where the fuck I was going with this. Anyway, her blowing a circuit on TV really just showing, if that doesn't show you that politicians are here we go. Here comes hack joke time, everybody. Mark it down. If that doesn't show you politicians are really just robots, I don't know what will. Nope. Okay. So that's where we're at. But yeah, it's not a left-right thing. It's an American thing. The fact that it's still not being brought up on any news channels that I saw. Granted, I've watched probably a total of 10 minutes of the news networks within the last week. So I may not be the best one to say it, but the fact that I didn't see it in those 10 minutes really really just goes to show you that, hey, maybe the Teflon Don, it isn't him. It's the fact that if you shut your fucking mouth after something happens for 48 hours, no one gives a shit. One of my favorite comedians, they tried to get him for being sexist or racist or something like that. He just shut up for 48 hours. Does anyone remember Ari Shaffir? Anyone remember that? So next time Lefty wants to say, oh, it's a shame that Donald Trump could say all this stuff and get away with it, just remember this, and this batty broad goes nuts, and it's not talked about for fucking weeks. That is the exact same thing. Alright, well, we're coming to the end. Let's see if I covered everything I wanted to. Yeah, I made sure to talk about the Chris, Stanley Chuck, Eddie Olczyk. Yeah, so it looks like, that's basically everything that was pressing I needed to get to. Again, if anyone drives by the Northwest equivalent of 10 Cloverfield Lane, be sure to take a look for Chris for me. Before I get going any further, I just want to give a few more shout outs. Eddie Olczyk, go fuck yourself. Stacy, my sister, go fuck yourself. And Randy, the challenge has been set. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. I want your heart. I'm going to eat your children. All praise be to Allah. That being said, I will see you all later.